Alright guys, well, James at Rampant Lion Reviews again for you today, joined by
Harry, there's Beer Reviews.
Yeah, so we are in Cheltenham at Deya, and apparently they have two tap rooms. They've got their regular tap room now and also their sour tap room. So we're going to try maybe 5 or 6 things here, I think, something like that. But we'll do as we always do, we'll walk in, we'll have a little look around, we'll have some beers, and yeah, have a good time. Ready?
Ready.
Let's do it. Alright guys, so just to let you have a little look at this place, it's actually just 2 minutes walk away from the Cheltenham train station. So yeah, you just come down into the industrial estate and it's pretty much right here. So as you can see, you're greeted by a crocodile who's obviously been on the Blue Smarties and a little bit of MCAT, which is pretty cool. And they've got some more crocodiles over here that are shooting lasers out their eyes, you know, as you do. But yeah, it's actually quite an impressive place. So when you come in on the side here, you've got the food tent. So today it's Woozy Pig. Apparently this changes every week. And there you can see the nice big Deya tank, which is cool. But there's lots and lots of space here, which are like, they've obviously got this little outside bar, which is cool too. And you can see there's a nice little bit of artwork on the back of the tank too. They've got one of their crocodiles, which is pretty cool too. So yeah, lots of tables outside. Harry was saying that the sour beer tap room is over that side, but yeah, you come over here and you've got the actual inside part of the tap room. So you've got some lovely artwork up here, and then you can see all the tanks and things, so the main brewing operation. And yeah, this is the tap room, which is very nice. So yeah, I think Harry's got our first beer, so we'll go and find him and film the first one, and then I'll let you have a look at the tap list in just a second. But obviously you can buy the cans too. Alright guys, well, time for our first tasting here then at Deya in Cheltenham. So we actually had both mentioned on the train that we fancied tappy pills to start with, but that wasn't on tap unfortunately, so we went with Hoppy Pills at the Lorient. So you read about the Lorient hop, do you want to introduce this?
Yeah, so it's with an alpha of 4 to 5%, grown from Oregon State University, and it is for its American hop. So yeah.
Yeah. What percentage was this one again?
ABV on a beer is 4%.
4%, cool. So yeah, as you'd expect from a Pils, lovely kind of pale golden straw colour, crystal clear, not too much in the way of visible carbonation. When it came out it had, you know, standard sort of, I'd say kind of just cream coloured head, exactly what you'd expect. But yeah, tappy Pils I really enjoyed,
yep. So
I'm hoping that this one kind of carries on in the same vein. You can see we've got our crocodile friend behind us as well. Nose. You reckon?
You do get that floral.
Oh yeah. It has got a wee bit of like a mix of like a pineapple-y, limey kind of thing going on.
Bizarre.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can see that actually. Yeah.
Weird.
Yeah. See, when I think about Pilsners, this one comes across as quite oily. I mean, it doesn't come across. The other one they had on tap was Sapphire, which is a German hop, and that usually gives you a bit of orange, but it gives you all these noble characters. This one to me smells a little bit more kind of herbal in its green component for sure. But on the malt side of things, it's kind of what you'd expect. It's like a little bit of bread crust, a wee bit crackery, a wee bit kind of like wet white bread. I don't get so much crispness in the malt base in this one.
With an IPL as well, is what it is. It's just going to be a little bit more.
Oh, is it actually listed as IPL?
Well, that's what it is. That's what it is.
Ah, yeah, I suppose, yeah, you don't. There's a teeny bit of biscuit, but not too much sweetness, isn't there? Yeah. But yeah, as you say, green component for me, it's got a little bit of earthiness, quite herbal. You do get some sort of oily grassiness out of this one as well, for sure. Fruity side, what do you get from it?
There's lemony notes, but I want to say there's some kind of fruity kind of berry hidden behind it as well, which I'm.
Yeah, I mean it has got this very.
Lime.
You know what it reminds me of actually a little bit is Zappa. You know, Zappa. It reminds me of Zappa hop, and the only reason I say that I can think of that is because I had it in Croatia recently at Zmajska, and it was a Zappa IPA. I wasn't a great fan of that, I have to admit, but it really has a little bit. It has a bit of that lemony, limey kind of thing. I got a little bit of pineapple out of it in the beginning. So it's an interesting smelling beer, this one, fruity wise. I think we should just have a taste now, eh?
Cheers.
Slàinte. Here we go. It's kind of what you'd expect. This is one of these ones where the aroma matches with the flavour quite well.
It's really crisp as well. Really crisp.
Yeah, it's crisp, but it's quite oily at the same time, I'd say. Yeah. So malt base for me, wee bit of cracker, wee bit of Jacob's cream cracker in the aftertaste.
Yeah.
Bread crust, you've got the wet white bread, and in the middle of your palate, I think you do get a bit of that oily McVitie's digestive kind of thing. Yeah.
What is it? Pale malt base or Pilsner malt base.
There's definitely a wee bit more
some
pale malt
wheatiness inside of there as well.
Yeah. Yeah, you can feel a bit of wheat on the back third of your palate. You can definitely get that slightly thicker white bready note thing there. The yeast will do something with that as well, I'm sure. Because I think these guys have got their own lager yeast these days, don't you?
It wouldn't surprise me if they used one,
Yeah, because the when you try the Tappy Pils, it really has quite a unique sort of yeasty, crackery thing from what I remember.
Yeah.
It's good. I like this. I do like this beer as a pilsner. It doesn't really if it is intended to be an IPL, this is usually quite a hard style to balance properly.
Let's see if they actually list it as an IPL.
Yeah. I mean, I think for me on the green component of this, the back corners, it's not really got the earthiness, but it gets quite bright and floral towards the front, and then that's oily grass around the front of the palate too. What did it say about the?
My phone was just having a moment, so I just had to crash it.
Okay.
Crash it.
Right, fair enough. Yeah, but green component on this is quite nice, but it's quite an oily green component, I would say.
It's having a moment.
It just says Pilsner Other. Yeah, so it's listed on Untappd as Pilsner Other. So, yeah, just a hoppy pils, I think, as they say. Anything you want to say about the green component?
No, not too much further to what you said.
Yeah, let's look at the fruity side of things. You lead with that.
Fruity side again, it kind of develops after that, those kind of light floral touches to begin with, and I think it's like lemon, lime, very light on the lime. Just that general kind of fruitiness. It's not quite as much as what the aroma had.
I don't get the pineapple-y notes I was picking up earlier. It's maybe like a little bit of sultana or,
Yeah.
I don't know if I'd go as far as apricot. The plane's going over a bit. I mean it's quite it's lemon, bit of lemon and lime kind of character. It could sort of pass for like Motueka or Centennial or something like that. This one or Equinaut as well is the other one that comes to mind. It's not quite. It doesn't have the melody notes of cashmere. No. But yeah, was it Lorient? Lorient, yeah.
L'Oreal.
But this is a nice. In terms of the way this goes together, it's quite nice. For me, this is just quite an oily, bright pilsner. So yeah, definitely not kind of in line with what you'd expect from a Czech pilsner or a German one, but yeah, I quite like it, I have to say.
Yeah, it's nice. I'm just seeing what other things they say about the hop. They're saying it's kind of designed. So it's based off of Strata.
Oh, okay. But Strata, that's interesting because Strata is usually quite gooseberry and red fruity.
Yeah, and this isn't.
Yeah, it's really not. So yeah, that's interesting. They say it's based on Strata, but I think mouthfeel. What to say then?
Yeah. Quite dry.
Yeah, for me, top end, the light bodied.
Yeah.
It gets a bit drier into the aftertaste. But like I say, for me, for a pilsner, that's pretty oily.
Yeah.
It is pretty oily. I mean, the Czech ones are always creamy. The German ones are always a bit drier. So this for me is quite oily. IBUs, I think this is like 25-ish.
Yeah.
Fairly standard. Malt base, as I say, quite smooth. A little bit of dryness in there, a bit of crispness and a wee bit of sweetness. And then the fruity side of the beer is a bit oily. I think that's where it gets the main oiliness from. So yeah, I think that's everything we can say about this one. Yeah. So that was the Hoppy Pils Lorient from Deya here, this was 4%, you said?
Yeah, 4%.
4%, alright. Well, that's taste number 1. We'll let you have a little look at the tap list, and we're going to get one of their well-known beers. So catch you guys in just a second. Alright guys, so just a little look at the tap list that they have here then. So you can see over here, they've got some interesting ones. Yeah, Braybrook Smash and Maibach. Very, very good lager brewery in England these days. They've got the Hoppy Pilsner, Lorient, Saphir, the Gull Lounge, the Brett Saison, the Brett Paleo, the Ross on Y Bird Baker, which is a cider, Pomona Root and Branch, another cider, the Hokum Stomp as well, porter. Apparently that's very good. But over here they've got some beers that are a little bit more kind of recognisable, of course. So yeah, Steady Rolling Man, magazine cover, Into the Haze. These are regular ones that are brewed very often. In the Paleos, they've got Fixer Upper, Summer Ale Strata, Check the Record, Off Street Parking, Dust My Broom. Then in the IPAs, Invoice Me, Take Off the Zombies, Break Me Into Bigger, and Glue. And then they've got the Saturated series. They've got Saturated in Citra on tap. It's a series I've never tried, so I think that's something we will need to have a little look at. But yeah, they've got a few different cans and things too. So there you can see Tappy Pills in can, Love Is, the Sapphire Mosaic, Off Street, Lorient Pills, Shadows of, Dust My Broom, Check the Record, Wi-Fi Password, Mind Expansion Pack, Break Me Into the Haze, Snooze, Stop Making Sense. I think I had Stop Making Sense actually. Best Foot Forward, Summer Ale Strata, and Click the Box. And you can see the prices are very reasonable. Remember that £1 is somewhere in the region of like $1 or €1.20, and it'll be about 12 Swedish kroner for you watching over there. But quite a nice tap list here at Deya Brewing Company. And there you can see all the cans in the boxes, which are pretty cool. But yeah, catch you in a second with another tasting. Alright guys, tasting number 3. This is Harry's choice. He'll introduce it.
Yep, this one again, Deya. It is Break Me Into Bigger Pieces, which is a lemon and lime feel IPA coming at 6.5% ABV.
Yeah. Alright. So, appearance-wise, pretty much the same as we had with Steady Rolling Man. Nice kind of half finger frothy. I would actually say perfect whitehead on this one.
Yeah, he did do a good pour.
Yeah. This one's paler as well, more like a pineapple juice.
Yeah.
In the colour. Not much visible carbonation. That's all we need to say appearance-wise.
Yeah.
So, nose. Oh, that's a lot lighter. That is a lot lighter. Yeah. You do get that, you do get that just fruit skin peel thing off it. Yeah.
But it's funny from reading the little bit of description they say about using our standard dry hopping techniques. It's interesting to see that. Have they used the same dry hops of their other beers? I don't know. Their other core range, I don't know. You can't find what hops really.
Yeah. I mean, this was the one because you mentioned a bit before. What was your motivation on this one?
Because when you were picking up earlier, in Steady, how it had some like lemon lime kind of notes.
Okay.
I thought, right, this would be a good one because this, from memory, this one has been lemon and lime in your face. It will be interesting.
Okay. Right. Well, this should be good.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, no, this one aroma-wise, you can definitely smell that big fruit skin peel sort of thing straight off. Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, it has. You do get a bit of herbal character underneath. Like a little. I don't know if thyme is. I'm not so big on my herbs, quite honest. I just eat herbs and like herb flavours. Lemongrass. Yeah, we need to start this. We've been practicing on the train down here. We were practicing our hooligan accents all the way. We need to stop this. But it is fun.
We won't.
we say this, but we won't. We won't stop. But yeah, underneath, definitely lots of grassiness, lots of herbal character.
There's a little bit of an oiliness. You can almost smell it as well, can't you?
Yeah. On the malty side, what do you reckon? It takes a back seat.
Yeah, it really does. It's hard to. I mean, I know it from looking at it. That's my problem. I know exactly what what's inside of it, but
You know, I almost get like a kind of rosemary bread type thing out of it.
a bit of focaccia.
Focaccia? Oh, the same posh words. It's foreign words. Oh dear. But you know, it does definitely have a wee bit of like a slightly herbally bread kind of thing. Yeah. But yeah, white bread for sure.
Yeah.
A bit of cracker, but not too much.
No, it is fairly well hidden. It's hard to kind of, you've got right there.
Yeah.
To diagnose exactly what.
Yeah. I don't find this one as complex aroma-wise as the other ones.
No.
But you quite often find that with like adjunct beers is
The aromas won't be jumping out at you, but
Exactly.
then the taste will.
Exactly, yeah. I don't think we need to say much more about it. I think we just taste it. Slange it. Go. I like that.
Yeah. Wait, that lemon and lime builds the back end.
It's, for me, it feels like wetter but also juicier. If that makes sense.
For me, it's far more creamy, and there's almost like nothing to start off with. You're like, when's this flavour going to come? And then it comes right at the back end, the lemon lime lime.
I can't think of any other. I mean, whenever I do reviews, normally I try and think of beers to compare the beer to.
Yeah.
I can't really think of that much to compare this one to be quite honest.
I've got one in my bag and it's random.
Oh,
It's
okay.
the Arbor lemon and lime. Citrus Maxima.
Okay. Maybe I need to do a review of that on the channel. I do like the Arbor Session beers.
They're all pint cans as well, which is good.
Exactly. So, I mean, this is very nice. It really, I do get more and more. The more that I drink of this beer, the more herbalness I get out of it. But yeah, guys, this is quite unique actually. This is very different compared to the other Deyas I've had before. So Harry's made quite an interesting choice here, I think. But yeah, let's do the malt base first. Yeah. It actually is just, for me, it's creamy to the point where you've almost got a little bit of like a. It's not vanilla flavour, but it has that almost vanilla smoothness and sweetness to it. This is a very oak forward,
Massive oak forward, which I think shows in the colour compared to the other ones.
Oh,
When you put loads of oats in, it comes almost like really thick and turbid.
Yeah.
And I think with this you can see compared to the other ones, there is a little bit of light coming through the bottom, but with the other ones, it was a lot light, kind of lighter, less kind of opaque as this one is.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
It's been clear for years, this one.
Yeah.
Jake Simmons.
Yeah. I think the only other thing we can say is maybe you get a bit of white bread, a bit more of a grainy white bread on the back of the palate, and maybe a teeny little bit of that crackery and bread crusty note that you quite often get in these beers. But other than that, I think this one is just it is just oats all the way.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hoppy side of things, green component.
It's definitely herbal, mate.
Yeah, herbal and wet grass.
Yeah.
But I would say the thing you always get with these adjunct beers, I don't know how much they put in this right now, but if you put like fruit skin or fruit into the beer, it always suppresses the kind of bitter side of things that you're going to get off it, and you can feel that in this one. It was very wet on the edge of the palate for sure. But that doesn't take away anything. I think it's good. I think you've made a nice choice with this one actually.
Slightly floral as well. But
The Dwayman knows his stuff.
he's just a twin.
Yeah, I think I mean, just very wet and grassy and stuff and thing. But fruity side of things, say in front of the palate, what do you reckon?
To start off with, I don't think it really jumps out all that much.
Yeah,
maybe a light some citrusy zing, but it's not noticeable. But it's only really towards the back end. That's when the kind of aftertaste. That's when you really get the kind of lemony, limey notes. But obviously the lemon lime peel.
Yeah.
The hoppy.
Exactly. I mean, for me, the thing with this one is the fruity notes are nowhere near as oily as they were in the other two.
No.
But that always happens when you use fruit as an adjunct. It feels lighter and juicier. There's maybe a wee bit of like I do get a little bit of something maybe like apricot or something just on the back, but then it really leans toward the juicier.
Yeah.
I get a bit more lime than lemon out of this.
Oh, I definitely get more lime. Yeah. It's almost like a citronella kind of place as well. Like,
Yeah, but this is very nice. I really like this one.
Yeah.
So Harry's definitely made an interesting choice for beer number 3. Is there anything else we need to say about this? I think flavour-wise, mouthfeel-wise, like we said earlier, this one is very kind of creamy, but it's not. I'd say like top end of mid-bodied. I don't think it's quite full-bodied.
No, it's not. It's definitely more than Steady was, for example. Definitely more because it's a big guarantee.
Yeah.
But it's not enough to put you off from having another one. Because I tend to find when it's something like very full and very heavy, you might not want to have a second. But yeah, it is.
Yeah, that's it. IBUs, I find that this is very low. This is like Hefeweizen 15 or something like this.
Yeah.
Very, very low in its IBU count. For me, it's actually, the mouthfeel is a mix of creamy, but again, I find it quite wet.
Yeah.
It's a really wet mouthfeel, but it's not oily. I don't find this beer that oily. Malt base, smooth, creamy, not sweet.
No.
And then the fruity side for me is, like we say, it's because it's a lot of the fruitiness is coming from the adjunct. It's a bit wetter. It's not as oily as when you get fruit from the hops.
Yeah.
I think that's definitely fair. But yeah, sorry, what was it called? Break me
into bigger pieces.
Break me into bigger pieces from Deya. A lemon lime. 6.5%. Harry made a good choice with this one. We're going to try something a bit stronger for beer number 4. So catch you guys in just a second. Cheers. So yeah guys, just a little quick look at some of the Deya merchandise here obviously. So in Cheltenham they're in the Cotswolds and that's why they have the kind of mountain symbol if you like. But yeah, it looks pretty nice. Some nice shirts and things here. And a few of the old bottles and things like that. Like they are just getting into sour beer brewing, so I'm guessing that these bottles are some of those. But yeah, nice little bit of merchandise available from these guys, I have to say. Alright guys, tasting number 2 then, and we're going to go for one of Deya's classic beers. So this is Steady Rolling Man, a New England Pale Ale, 5.2% ABV, and yeah, I've had this beer 2 or 3 times.
Oh, like hundreds.
Yeah. It's a very nice one, this, and you know, it's still pretty cool to come and have it at source, you know. So the hops in this one were Eldorado,
Equinox, Mosaic, and Amarillo.
Yep, so very, very nice hop bill there. Lots of kind of lime and orange, I think, expected from this one. Eldorado's going to give you a bit of tropical fruit. But yeah, for a New England, as you would expect, lovely kind of hazy colour. Remember, the haze on these beers is down to the oat and the wheat content and the yeast to a degree as well. When this one poured, lovely, about half finger, frothy, cream coloured head once again. And yeah, lovely sort of mango juice, I would say. Yeah, not too much visible carbonation. I think it's aroma time, eh? Yeah, aroma. Yeah.
Okay, pesto again.
Pesto?
Pesto again.
I think his nose has been destroyed by the Pilsner. For me, I'm getting, on the malty base, you're just getting lots of soft white bread. You can smell, I think you get the creamy oats.
Yeah.
You don't get too much wheat off this one.
No. It's sweet. Kind of sweet notes inside of it.
Yeah, no, the oats, I think this has got a bit of golden promise in it because you're getting that oaty smoothness and creaminess. You can smell it's very fresh. This is the thing with New England's, the more oaty, creamy notes you get, the fresher the beer is. The drier it gets, the older it is usually. But yeah, for me, it has a wee bit of that biscuity Werther's Original type thing. But I think the more you smell it as well, on the back of the nose you start to get the wheat.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you reckon about
just-
the? Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, but we're just going to go into light kind of hoppiness. It's kind of like citrusy, bit of a grapefruit note,
Yeah.
pineapple.
Oh yeah. I mean, what do you reckon about the green component too?
In terms of being what, like,
Grassy, floral, yeah.
yeah, it's light, but it's not. I wouldn't say it's dominant at all.
Yeah, I mean, the green component is, for me, it actually leans toward a zesty, grassy thing. There is a bit of floral note there, but it is mainly grassy. But on the fruity side of things as well, like I get quite a bit of the equinox, I think. You've got that. For me, it's got that soft tropical base.
I get loads of citra on this. Buckets of it.
Yeah. Oh, I was forgetting citrus in it. Yeah, if it's this one. It has a lot of tropical stuff to it. So yeah, like mango, and you've got a bit of that soft apricot-y.
It's like mosaic, given that kind of light bubblegummy note as well.
Yeah. I do get a wee bit of the orange. You know, there's definitely the mosaic and the mosaic
And the tangerine.
thing. Yeah.
Eldorado.
So just again, it's Citra, Eldorado, Mosaic, and Equinox.
Yeah.
Mosaic. There's no Citra in this.
No citra.
Yeah, Mosaic, Amarillo, Equinox. So yeah, the tropical notes we're getting are from the Eldorado, not Citra.
Eldorado.
Confused, yeah. But yeah, those are all American hops as well, we should say, and all about 12 to 14% alpha acid. So yeah, but yeah, for me, yeah, but you're definitely getting a bit of that mango-y apricot sort of thing for sure. I do get a little bit of the kind of grapefruity thing too. I get more and more of the orange out of it from the more you smell of it, the more orangey thing you get. Yeah. And yeah, you get a bit of the lime as well. You can smell the lime mixing with the grass for sure. Yeah, it's a lovely smelling beer, this, I have to say. Yeah. It's very good. Anything else you want to add?
Nothing more.
All right, well, let's get stuck in. Steady rolling, man. Slanger. Oh yeah.
It's surprisingly herbal in the mid. It's a long time since I had a steady, but there was a time I used to come up here when it was there before. I used to drive down from Birmingham, and this was pre-COVID as well. I was doing this, and I would buy slabs and slabs and slabs because they weren't selling the trade.
Oh,
They were selling like the trade, but not in cans. They were selling only in kegs. So I used to go and buy loads and then sell it to trade myself.
all right.
But those sort of days, I would literally, buy a 24 pack of steady rolling mats, and then sell off maybe 16 or 18 of them, and then keep 6 for myself, and that'll do me for an evening.
Oh yeah. Exactly.
But it's funny because I don't know whether my palate's changed over time, but I'm sure it has done. But it doesn't taste quite the same as what I remember it.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting this, your palate is always constantly evolving, so you're getting a bit more herbal character than you've had before. For me, this one is striking me as being a bit more thick and creamy than I've had it before. So I'm getting a lot more oatiness and things out.
Yeah.
I'm getting a lot more oatiness out of this than I remember, but the last time I would have had this must have been about 8-9 months ago, something like that.
Yeah.
When was your last time?
I think the possibility I had a pint here a couple of months ago, but it's like where I could read when I've had a can in the past. I think that would have been 3 years probably since I've had a can.
Yeah, no, I mean that is the other thing as well. Is there's going to be differences between the can and the there's going to be a difference between the can and the keg conditioning. I should say, brain's not working. I mean, but it's as I say, it's a very very nice beer. So. Malty side of things for me, you do get a little bit of that bread crusty crackery sort of thing that's typical. A lot of white bread.
Yeah.
You can feel the creaminess of the oats in the middle of the palate. It's not quite as sweet as I thought it was going to be, but remember this is only a 5.2 paleo.
Yeah.
You'll get more sweetness out of the bigger beers. You can feel the wheat thickening out this beer, but the wheat's very smooth in this one for me. It's not really a bitey wheat.
No, it's not.
No.
Because when I say it's possibly just a bit of torrefied wheat, just a little kick of it, just for head retention, a little bit of body, but not too much.
Yeah, exactly.
There's definitely an oatiness inside of it.
I think it really leans toward that oaty end, doesn't it?
Yeah, and that will help with haze as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, this is good. It's a really nice beer. The malty side of things, I think a lot of people underestimate the importance of the malt base.
Yeah.
But this is This is very, very good. Green component.
Well, like I was saying, like I get masses of kind of herbal touches inside of it, just midway through. Initially, you get like I like kind of like lightly spicy kind of note from the hops too.
Yeah.
And then midway through, it goes quite herbal.
It's almost like thyme or something like that, isn't it? Yeah. I see exactly what you mean. Like when you take it in, grassy, floral, and then the grassiness I think stays.
Yeah,
But
that leads
then
on. And then
sides of your palate is herbal. Absolutely.
herbal, yeah. And then you get develops into that fruitiness afterwards. But yeah, I was quite surprised with how, because I always remember it being just mega fruit forward.
Yeah.
Mega fruit, like fruit salad.
Yeah,
And it's
exactly.
not quite like that.
Yeah, it's interesting because I would, I do definitely get some of this herbal thing on the sides of the palate for sure. I like it for sure. Yeah. Fruity side of things then, what do you reckon?
I still get that pineapple juice.
I would say the fruit in this one, it's quite different in the flavour to what it is in the aroma.
Yeah. The aroma is punching a little bit more than what it actually delivers the flavour again.
Yeah. I think you get more of the equinox in this one, like later on. I think you get a bit more, like on the tip of the tongue, you get a bit of the liminess in the equinox in this, for sure.
Sort of a beer from later on.
Yeah.
Like that.
Oh, okay. But yeah, for me, back of the palate, you do get a big. I get quite an oily mango out of this.
Yeah.
But underneath that, there's a wee bit of the drier, apricot-y, pie type thing. But then further forward, there's a teeny bit of orange, but not a lot. But then it's lime.
Yeah.
It's the equinox that's sticking in the aftertaste for me. Yeah.
It's funny the way that equinox has changed over time. There's quite a low alpha on equinox at the moment. I got
It always used to be like 14.
it was, and it's gone down to about 7.
Oh, okay.
I don't know whether it was properly cropped from last year, but I got something else which has got a rubbish alpha at about 7.
Ah,
So,
right.
yeah.
Yeah, so for those of you watching, your alpha acid is the one that determines like how bitter the hop is, whereas the beta acids are like how long does that bitterness remain. Is that right?
Yeah.
So yeah. Mouthfeel.
I'd say it's mid because it definitely has the oats inside of it, and that's kind of picking it up a bit. But compare this to like an imperial stout with something like with loads of oats and loads of, and now you go on the other end of the spectrum, maybe something like a lager. I'd say mid.
Yeah, I mean, I'd go for kind of mid-bodied for sure. Right in the middle of the spectrum. For me, it actually strikes a good balance between being oily and creamy.
Yeah.
I think it's quite an interesting one in that because for a New England pale ale, it actually has quite a bit of oiliness to it. IBU wise, I think it's a standard, 25-ish.
Yeah.
I think this is about the same as the pills we had before.
Yeah.
Malt base is quite smooth and thick, but it does have a slight degree of sweetness to it.
Yeah.
And then the fruity side of things for me is a bit oily as well.
Yeah. I agree.
But steady rolling man. To have it at source is pretty cool. So we're going to go a little bit heavier on the IPA sort of spectrum, if you like, in a little bit. So Harry's going to choose the next beer for us. So catch you guys in just a second. Cheers. So yeah, when you come for a wee pee-pee after a few beers, you get to see some other parts of the brewery. So you can see this. This is obviously the kind of cooking station part of the brew kit. There you can see the mill and so on. They've got their whole outline of their brew kit here as well, the kind of blueprints and things. So this is pretty cool. You actually get a proper view of the equipment, and then obviously the mill's here and you've got all the fermentation things behind it. But you walk back into the bar, you can see this looks a little bit trippy, but I think Deya's whole artwork is trippy. And this is cool. But then you walk back out into the tap room and some nice fermentation tanks. We're going to get our next beer. Alright guys, so time for tasting number 4 then here at Deya. So this beer comes from a series that I have seen quite extensively on the internet but never managed to try. I've never tried one. So this is the Saturated in Citra, 8% New England Imperial Double Hazy, whatever the fuck you want to call it, IPA. So as you can see, this one is quite similar in appearance to the other ones we've had before. Yeah, about a quarter finger of a frothy cream coloured head this time. You can see from the colour it's more like a sort of pineapple juice, so as we were saying in the last one, probably more oak forward.
Yes,
Not too much in the way of visible carbonation. So yeah, aroma.
Yeah.
What do you reckon?
It's just big old Citra. Big old Citra.
Yeah. I'm still getting a good bit of herbal character from this one.
It's carried from every single beer. It's been almost like the same aroma.
Yeah, maybe our noses look kind of saturated in some ways.
Saturated in citrus.
Yeah. But yeah, no, Citra, as we know, 14% alpha acid American hop. Usually get, in New England's at least, it gives you big juicy mango. You always get a big kind of lemon, limey, citrusy note to it. It's a bit more oily, and sometimes you get some lychee and gooseberry things out of it in a West Coast IPA. These hops are very, can you say, temperamental, depending on what malt base and yeast and stuff you put them with. But yeah, aroma-wise, this one is quite. I get this one feels a little bit more balanced in its malt base than the Break Me Into Bigger Pieces. What would you say about the malt base? What are you getting?
It's like again a white breadiness.
Yeah.
Slightly biscuity.
I get a bit more wheat out of this as well. Yeah. Like at the back of the nose, there's a wee bit more of that wheaty bitiness, but yeah, the bread crust, the white bread. The oats, I think, aren't quite as obvious.
No. I'm fairly sure it's got oats inside of it.
It will. No, it definitely will. Like,
yeah.
It just doesn't smell as oaty.
Yeah.
It's got. This one has more of that sort of wet white bready note to it. I think. Yeah. It's almost the oats are a bit. It's almost a little bit got a wee bit of that pilsnery type thing. You know, the wet white bread you can get from pilsners. It's interesting too, because I don't find this one that sweet. You know, for an 8%, you'd expect a bit of sweetness. I always thought with New England's, when you get to the 8.5% mark,
can go quite sweet.
You need a little bit of sweetness just to cover the booze.
I think it will be in there. But just more so you'll get a taste more of it.
Yeah, there's a wee bit of a golden promisey biscuity.
Yeah, I think there's definitely golden promise in it. I tend to spot it a mile.
Yeah, I think it's quite.
Golden Naked Oats, I reckon, is the oats that you use in every single beer as well.
Yeah, I think this one. The malt base, I think, feels for an 8%, or the malt base in this one is quite kind of light in how it goes about things. It's not quite as prominent as you might expect.
Yeah.
But definitely, the more I smell this, I get more wheat in the back of the nose. You get a bit of that more wheaty, bitey character out of this one. Spilling a little bit on my leg. Pouring it all over me. It's raining beer. Green component, what do you think?
It's again, it's herbal again.
Yeah, no, like you said, a bit of herbal character. Quite a lot of grassiness.
Yeah.
Not too much in the way of floral character.
No.
But this is the thing with New England's, remember, these rely more on late addition and dry hopping, so you don't get the same dankness and kind of resinous qualities you get with these as you would with the old school West Coasters. I think it's grassy and herbal. Yeah. A lot of grassy herbal character out of this one. Wet as well, like wet grassiness for sure.
Yeah.
I don't think we need to say more about the green component, really, do we? No. So fruits, what do you reckon?
It's, I'm again getting light lemon again, but not quite to the extent as the Break Me Into Big Pieces, but light lemon, a bit of like a pineapple note, slight tangerine, clementine.
I actually don't get the orange out of this. I don't really get that kind of mandarin-y orange. I mean, for me, I get the lemon lime. I think citrus really showing its more citrusy side, if that makes sense. But I don't. For me, Citra in a New England is always quite mangoey.
Yeah.
And it's like a very ripe mango. It's almost at the point where it's like green, like guava.
It's overripe.
Yeah, it's almost kind of like. I almost get that greenness out of the mango that's a bit more guava-like.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah. Mango, a little bit of apricot, pineapple, maybe. Yeah, but a lot of lemon limey character, anything else? I do get a wee bit of an almost light. It's interesting, I almost get like a wee bit of the lychee
Yeah.
Like a wee bit of the lychee gooseberry thing that you can sometimes get from Citra, and that's interesting because normally that would be the West Coast.
Yeah.
When you get a more caramelly, biscuity malt base with Citra, it can show you that. I think we should just dive in, yeah. Slange it. That's really nice, actually.
Yeah. It's not too green as well, which is good because I've had this a few times and it's been very green.
It's always a risk with New England, so I think you have to let these sit for a couple of weeks just to let them mellow out and not get the greenness, which isn't such a big deal with West Coast IPAs.
Maybe an example, when you tried my beer the other day, that was green because that was only like a week old.
Oh, the lager.
No, the one with the brewery.
Oh yeah.
The hop burn wasn't bad on it, but it was bad the other day.
Yeah.
This is only like 2 days since dry hop, but yeah.
For me, just on first impressions, I think this is another very oaty leaning New England for sure. Deya, I think Deya really leaned toward the kind of more yeasty.
Yeah, there's definitely estery kind of vibes in this one compared to the other ones, I think.
For me with Deya, you always get a bit of this crackery, like Jacob's cream crackers, very slightly farmhouse thing, but a lot of oat as well.
Yeah.
And it's like, when you go to the States, Deya are obviously one of the big boys in England when it comes to these New England IPAs, but when you go to the States, you get the Treehouse beers, which are a bit more oaty and creamy, you get the Trilliums, which are a bit more wheaty.
Yeah.
And then you get, Hill Farmstead, which are obviously farmhousey beers and so on. These are definitely more yeasty and oaty.
Yeah.
For sure. But that's my first impression of this one. This is a big, oaty, creamy beast of a beer. We'll do the malt base first. Yeah. The more that I drink of this, I think more wheat. You do get more wheat out of this one.
Yeah. Again, I'd go torrefied wheat on it. Torrefied wheat. I think this malt, oat-wise, I think it's golden naked oats. I've just noticed that in every single one of their beers. You can obviously get your standard flake oats, but it's golden naked oats, and they provide a little bit more sweetness.
Yeah.
And a touch of caramel in there as well. There is like that faintest touch of it.
Yeah, and the aftertaste, the dead centre of your palate, there is a wee bit of that McVitie's digestive, but caramelly sort of thing.
Pale malt inside. And what's providing like a biscuity kind of caramel base to it, but it's not too caramel. It's very quite light.
Yeah.
Decent body to it.
Yeah, I mean, for me, you've got that bread crust cracker, the white bread. You get quite a bit of the oatiness out of this too, but then in the dead centre, because it's 8%, you are getting a wee bit. I actually find it's, rather than being full caramel, maybe a bit more like Werther's Original.
Yeah.
I learned very recently that those were German, not English.
I wouldn't trust him now.
He's German. So yeah, it's got that bit of that butterscotchy, butter candy type thing to it, but definitely some biscuit. There's definitely Golden Promise in this, I'm pretty sure about that. Golden Promise always gives you that McVitie's digestive biscuit, but on the back third of the palate, there's more and more wheaty bitiness comes out of this, I think. Green component.
I think you almost get it on the inhalation as you're drinking. The first inhalation, you kind of get that, again, herbal. It's not quite as much as the ready-to-eat pieces, but it's there. Light floral, but mainly kind of herbal, kind of, again, obviously like you said before, like a thyme kind of thing.
It's interesting. I get a wee bit more earthiness out of this, but then it's herbal as soon as you move forward from that. I get more floral and grassy notes out of this, so it's got a big floral note, but also a big zesty, grassy kind of thing. The green component in this one is a bit more conventional, I think, to be honest, for sure. But yeah, you expect that with Citra. Citra's a big 14% beast. It's one of the old school American hops. So yeah, that's all we need to say about the green. But I think this one's a bit more floral, but it does have that herbal characteristic we've had from the other ones. Fruitiness, what do you reckon?
Spritzy pineapple. Spritzy pineapple for pineapple cubes, like sugary pineapple cube kind of notes. Honeydew melon.
I think
towards the rind.
see what you're saying. I get these flavours a bit more in the aftertaste.
Yeah.
I think when you take it in, it's got a bit more sharp, like a bit more lemon lime to it.
Yeah. Oh, it's definitely lemon lime there. I just kind of searching for other things inside of it.
Yeah.
So I found almost all the beers have been a bit lemon limey since the steady hand.
Yeah. I mean, for me, at the back of that front third of your palate, there is a bit of that passion fruit, juicy mango, and then in the front half of the front third, that's when I'm getting what you're saying, like the more melony. No, I do get the pineapple.
Yeah.
So the pineapple in this one, the melon and pineapple, is quite oily. I'd actually be more tempted to say like a little bit of watermelon than melon's just that melon. For me, melon is just a bit more potent.
Yeah.
It's a little bit more. I always think cashmere when it comes to melon, you know, because I don't know, like cashmere, you get that melony note, but then you also get the big lemon lime. So I think I don't know, watermelon has come to mind for me, but watermelon gooseberry type thing. But then tip of the tongue, lemon and lime all the way, and that mixes with the grassy notes. This is really interesting to try my first saturated in thing, but I will say, as a double IPA, I think it's really nicely done. But it's a very oak forward one for sure.
I'd say compared to previous batches as well, I think it's more a little bit kind of like muted in terms of the hoppiness compared to previous batches. I think we had a Rory Line shared a saturated Nelson when we were here.
Okay, yeah.
And I was going to buy a can, and then he said, "Well, I'm going to get a can. I'm going to take it home." He never took it home. We ended up sharing it here. And I was like, "Right, I'm not going to buy a can now because it was just a bit poor compared to previous, saturated in series." They've done other variants, and I've enjoyed them all. This one, though, I'll be honest, isn't quite there at the same standards as what it's previously been. And I'll be honest, so across the board, I feel that Deya has almost gone a little bit downhill from what they were. Especially when they were that side, they were very good on that side, and then when they came over here, it did take a bit of time to change and to tweak recipes and
New brew kit and so on.
But then at the same time, I just don't think they quite nailed it.
Yeah, but maybe take a little bit of time, but we'll see.
Yeah.
And when it comes to this saturated, I mean, I've seen saturated Mosaic, Citra, Strata, Nelson. What else has there been?
I've been a lot. Would you like me to find out?
The saturated in series, basically they are single hopped double IPAs. So we've got Simcoe, Motueka, Idaho 7, Amarillo, Galaxy, and then it's all the different versions. So there's been maybe about 7 or 8 different hops used, but a new version every year, every harvest basically. So it's an interesting series. I mean, for me, I quite like this, but Harry obviously is a bit more well versed in this brewery than I am. Mouthfeel, we should round off with mouthfeel. For me, this is bottom end to full bodied.
Well, I see OT. Relatively thick, but not quite full body.
Yeah, for me, this is the creamiest of the ones we've had, which is 8% double New England IPA. It's going to be IBUs. I think this is 30.
Yeah,
it doesn't. Sometimes with these doubles, it can be like 40. Was I right on 30?
it doesn't say.
Doesn't say. But yes, I always think sometimes with double IPAs you should put a bit more in, maybe make it 40, just so that give it a bit more bite. But this is low in its IBUs. Malt base is very smooth. There's a little touch of sweetness there, and the fruitiness is quite juicy rather than being more oily. But I think that's good. What we're going to do now is have something to eat, so you'll see that in a second, and we're going to go to the sour tap room, which will be opening up very, very shortly. But that was saturated in Citra. We do need some food, I think, after these beers to sober up a little bit before we have some sours, and you'll see us in just a second. Catch you then. Alright guys, so it's food time, and as I told you earlier, at Deya the food changes every so often. So these guys, the Woozy Pig, they make hot dogs. They've been going since about 2017. The guys are working hard to make Harry and I fat bastards. There you can see our nice big sausages. That's how we like it, big sausages. But they've got a nice menu here, XXL hot dogs. So proper banging sausages in a soft bun with tasty toppings. Need to do my best accent for you guys. But smoky bacon barbecue, buffalo blue, classic, the currywurst, and then you've got tater tots as well. So Harry and I'll give you our opinions on these in just a little second. But this is Woozy Pig, a local hot dog company. Very good.
Alright guys, so this is the product that we've just had there. So we both got the, what was it called, the smoky bacon barbecue. I asked them to put blue cheese on mine because I love blue cheese. We've got tater tots. You can see Harry's a bit better, he's been digging in, and he's got horrible onions on his as well. But yeah, we'll make a wee thing and see what we think of these hot dogs. They look pretty good. Alright, so guys, we need to line our stomach a little bit before we go to the sour beer tap room. So yeah, tater tots, what do you reckon?
They're nice, they're bad.
They are very good. Yeah. A little bit spicy, eh? A little bit of a kind of powdery spice, but proper American.
It's almost like smoky bacon cheese. It's like a sprinkle.
Oh yeah. If we dip it in the sauce, I've got the baconaise and the blue cheese. That's very nice. It is good in the sauce. Should we have a go at our sausages? I've been. It's a big bastard of a sausage this is. Which is just how I like it. So, sausage on its own. That's like Cumberland sausage. It's quite like it's a bit less sweet. This is English sausage, that's for sure. But it's definitely, English sausage is a bit more mild in its flavour, I think, than German one. German ones are a bit more herbal and bright. This is quite mild actually, but it's good. I like it. Yeah. The sauces though are very good. I think it's nice. I mean, it's almost a bit of a shame they don't do a little bit like pulled pork or burger or something like this. Pulled pork would work with these sausages very, very nicely. The sausage is good. Like I say, it's more of a kind of English sausage, so it's just not quite as herbal as the German and Danish things that I'm used to. Yeah. What do you reckon about yours?
Yeah, it's nice. I haven't had too much of the onion yet, but I do like dried onion. I'm not really the biggest fan of it having it with like fried onions or something. It's good.
Yeah, no, I mean, I've got more of a. I've never really liked onions. My mum used to put onion in everything when I was young, but the barbecue, the baconaise, and the blue cheese sauce up on this, it actually mixes very, very well. So I like this. So thumbs up to Woozy Pig on this, but I would say they should expand a little bit and do, you know, some pulled pork burgers, some beef burgers and things like that. It does kind of narrow the scope a little bit when you think about it to only really do sausages.
Yeah.
I think that's the thing, because the sauces they've got, they've obviously developed and played with, and they're really nice. But I think, yeah, they should expand a little bit to burgers and stuff like that as well with this, for sure. Because they've got a solid base here, and as you say, the tater tots are good. You dip it in this sauce. It's lovely. Yeah, it's nice. So yeah, very good food. Just do a bit more, you know, do a few different things, I would say. Yeah. That's everything we need to say about Woozy Pig for the moment. So we'll catch you guys at the sour beer tap room in just a minute. Alright guys, so if you go around the corner from the big tap room that we were in, you actually come to the original Deya Brewing Company tap room and brewery, which is now their sour beer facility. So let's do as we did last time and try some beers, walk around and all that jazz. Catch you in a second. So yeah guys, you were still in the same industrial estate. We're at Unit 34. Unit 33 is also occupied by Deya, but if you just go around there, that's where we started off before. So yeah, a couple of tables on the outside. There you can see Deya Brewing Company, units 33 and 34. When you come in, you can see all the barrels there. Some of the fermenters and things through there. You can have a little look at this. There you go. It's pretty nice, some of the barrels there. And this is the sour beer bar as well. A few kegs and stuff sitting around, but there are all the barrels and a nice little bit of artwork. We're going to taste our first beer, but I'll show you the tap list in a little bit more detail in a minute, because Harry is getting restless, isn't it? He needs his beer. Alright guys, well, time for our first of probably two sour beer reviews here at Deya. So the one that we've gone for our first beer is Mayhill, which comes in at 5.2% ABV, mixed fermentation. It's a plum sour. When plums are on the go, we always think of raggy. We always think of
obvious
raggy.
reasons.
Yeah. So when there's a plum sour, you can't resist plum wine. Exactly. Plum wine. So yeah, this one, when it poured, it came out with about quarter finger of a sort of creamy, slightly, it's got a bit of a pinky, plummy coloured tint to it, which is what you'd expect. And I mean, I always expect plum beers to be a bit darker than this, just because of the colour of the fruit. But this is it's actually quite.
Just a little touch of the other plums.
It's almost a bit like a more peach colour, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah,
more like that. But yeah, you can see it's got a nice little bit of a kind of hazy note to it. Not much visible carbonation. Don't think there's much else we need to say about that appearance, do we? So, nose.
Nicely tart.
It is quite funky, isn't it?
Yeah, a lot of funk.
It really has that. It's quite, for me, this is quite well balanced between that nice kind of oaky, funky, woody sort of thing, but you also just get that little bit of juicy fruit off it.
Yeah.
It's not so much like a modern sour.
No, it's definitely estery kind of funky little notes of wonderful goodness, and then it has a bit of an oaky kind of woody touch, woody finish on it.
Oh yeah.
Slightly dry.
I mean, it reminds me actually of the beers that I've had from Epocho in Glasgow. It really reminds me of those kind of old school, funky, wooden barrel-aged sours that I've had. Aroma-wise, this is very, very nice actually.
It's almost almost like sweet again. Plummy sweet. I couldn't say what plum sweets I've had.
It's not like sour plum. No, it's not sour plum. I don't know. It's almost got a little bit of it's got a little bit of this floral, almost lavendery type thing to it as well, eh?
Yeah.
But yeah, for me, backbone, smooth wood. There's a wee bit of vanilla in there. You've got a bit of dryness to the wood, which gives you that sort of spicy note as well, I think.
Yeah.
There is a bit of Werther's Original to that. There is definitely a bit of like a butterscotchy, butter candy kind of sweetness.
It's lovely and floral and light at the same time.
Yeah, there is definitely. I'm pretty sure there's hop in this. There is a wee bit of like dry hopping or something going on here because you get that bit of earthiness, the bit of herbal, but also quite a bright grassy note. Not so much floral character in this one.
I'd say late hopping over dry, but yeah.
Why would you say late?
Yeah. I would say late dryness.
It's interesting that, but I mean, what they tend to do with these sour beers as well is they add old hops as well. They don't add like fully potent ones, if that makes sense, because that takes away a bit from the sourness. On the fruity side of things, what would you say? Plum. I mean, I think there's a wee bit of like sultana or something in this as well. There is a wee bit of that dry sultana type.
It always goes like weirdly, oddly rhubarb. Oddly rhubarby.
Yeah.
And a bit of a berry note.
That is interesting for sure though.
Red currant, almost.
Oh yeah, no, I could say red currant. Yeah. It's a really interesting aroma, this one. This is the first time I've tried a sour beer at all from Deya. So this I think will be really interesting.
Yeah.
Don't think there's anything else we need to say about the aroma, so yeah, there we go. This is Mayhill, 5.2% plum sour, all hail raggy. There we go. It's a little more bready than I thought it was going to be. But I like it.
Yeah.
The thing with sour beers though is that whenever you take you can't judge them on the first sip. You've got to let them
Mellow and
you've got to
also
let them
chilled as well. That's the thing to say. It's quite chilled, quite good.
could do with being a wee bit warmer, yeah.
Lovely kind of typical of the style would be spritzy carbonation of it. Nice acidity.
Yeah.
Not over, not too much, not in your face.
It does. It just really reminds me of these Poco beers from Glasgow. I don't know if they've come down here that much.
I've seen them around a bit, a few Wales in London, but not too much.
But I mean, it's got this lovely big smooth woody backbone to it, but there's quite a bit of breadiness on top, and then you've just got a wee bit of juicy fruit. It's not going to blow the head off you in terms of being like, really puckering and sour. It's actually just really nice and juicy.
Yeah.
I like this one. I mean, as we say, we were looking at the list of beers, so a few different Brett ones, a few different fruit ones, but plum, plum just like raggy, you have to do that.
Yeah.
It was.
This is not how his brewing wine tastes either.
No, I can imagine it's about 5 times as strong.
5 times stronger and 5 times more dangerous. It's a session brewing wine.
Yeah, but I mean, for me, as I say, we talk about the middle of the palate with this lovely smooth oaky wood, more like American oak, I think. It does get a bit drier toward the back of the palate for sure, but there's white bread on the top for me. I wouldn't be surprised if there is a wee bit of oat in this one.
I don't know, because I find it quite light. It is quite light. I'd say a little bit of a wheatiness, of course, but I'm not sure whether there would be any.
I can see the wheat, but I just think in the middle of the palate you get this wee bit of an almost powdery oaky thing, and that would make sense because obviously the longer that you have the oak fermenting away in the beer, the drier it gets. So I do think there's a wee bit of oatiness in this one, and in the dead centre of the palate there's a wee bit of Werther's Original, that butterscotchy, butter candy thing. The thing I'd say about it is it's not too complex, and I often find this with these sour beers is they're not madly complex, but they're just nicely done, and that's exactly what you get with this. It's exactly what you get with this one. It's more of a it is more just a very easygoing sour beer for sure. Yeah. There's not, I think on the hoppy side of things, there's not too much support. I mean, when it's a kind of barrel fermented sour, most of the hoppy character is going to drop out, but you still get a bit of grassiness on the front of the palate for sure. But it's quite wet. I like this though, I do like it. But just very wet on its green component, but you also get the smoothness, which shows you most of the hoppy character is kind of dropped out.
Yeah.
I don't think there's anything else we need to say about it than that. The fruity side of things, the sort of front part of the palate, what do you reckon?
I think you get a lot of berry, not necessarily plums, but you get like red currant and berries and acidity. Wouldn't say possibly some gooseberry maybe, but
I can see gooseberry, yeah.
And then towards the back end it goes a little bit plummy, but I wouldn't say it's like it's not overly dominant. It's not like in your face with the plums at all.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the sour side of the beer, the kind of tartness you get is definitely plummy, but underneath that, I get a little bit of like sultana and date kind of thing, and then like a bit of sultana and date. The gooseberry at like the front tip of the palate, but then the sour side of it is plummy, and then the further into the aftertaste, I think you get more and more of that red fruity plummy kind of thing for sure. It's interesting this, like sour beers I think evolve in different ways on different parts of the palate. So this is a really interesting one for sure actually. I really like how this goes together. What do you reckon about mouthfeel?
I'd say mid to low.
I think middle of the spectrum. Yeah, for me, for a sour beer, it feels a little bit heavier and a bit more wet and oily.
Yeah, well, it's a while since I've had a proper lambic, but I'd say mid to low.
I mean, this is definitely not lambic. This one's quite more. It's a bit too thick in its wheat and its bread and stuff to be fully lambic in a sense, and it's not quite tart enough either. I would say.
It's not tart.
It's more like a juicy kind of wet sour. IBU wise, I think we're talking 10 at the most. There'll be a little bit of bitterness to this, but very little, 5 to 10 IBUs at most.
Zero. It says 0 for everything.
Okay. But yeah, I think 0 IBU. I don't know if it's just me, but I think you never get 0 IBUs. You're always going to get 5 or something like that out of it. but very, very smooth beer, a little bit of dryness, a bit of smoothness in there, wee teeny bit of sweetness, and then the tartness in this isn't going to blow the head off you, and it's just got a nice bit of juiciness, a bit of dried fruit as well. Yeah, it's an interesting one. This is a good first experience of a sour beer here at Deya. So, yeah, anything else you want to add to that?
I think we're good.
No. So, yeah, we're going to have a wee think and see what we want for the second beer, which you'll see in just a minute. There's a few Brett ones in there, but there was also another fruit sour that caught our eye. So, catch you guys in a second with the next one.
This was, by the way, the Mayhill 5.2% plum sour. We'll catch you in a second.
Alright guys, so here's a little look at the tap list at the Mixed Fermentation tap room, or the original brewery as it's also known. So yeah, Brett Pils, Brett Pale, Brett Saison, all of which sound quite interesting. We have the Heritage Saison, and then we go on to the more kind of fruity sours, the Mayhill, the Leckhampton Hill, Crickley Hill, and also the Speak No Evil, so plum, elderflower, strawberry and apple. The Hoppy Pilsner Citra, which we didn't see in the original tap room, that would have been quite interesting, and also the Shadows of Conversation, which has no price. So yeah, pretty nice little list here. We'll see what we decide to have a look at. Alright guys, so time for tasting number 6. This will be our final one here. It's our second one in the Mixed Fermentation tap room. So let's do this. The beer that we've chosen is the Brett Saison, so something a little bit more traditional, I guess we could say, within the sour beer category. And yeah, so when this beer poured, it had about a half finger of a frothy, I would say, perfect white head. You can see it's got a lovely kind of pale golden straw colour to it. Not much in the way of visible carbonation, but you've got a little bit of that natural hazy sort of thing that you do expect from the Saison style, which obviously is going to come from the yeast.
Yes.
So, yeah. Anything else we need to say about the appearance?
Not too much as I was diving into the notes there.
Yeah, nose time then. It's just a big funky Saison, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, straight away you get that big, smooth American oak sort of backbone to it.
And then lemony, spicy pepperiness.
Exactly, yeah. Bit of the drier wood, that lemony, peppery kind of spicy note. Yeah. So, like I say, for me, smooth American oak, a wee bit of vanilla, a little bit of a kind of Werther's Original sort of thing. The thing with this is, I always find with Saisons, if you have a regular Saison, it's always a little bit more bready and doughy and all this kind of thing. This one really smells more woody and light.
Yeah.
Anything else, you get a bit more cracker out of it as well.
Yeah. A lot of Saisons tend to be quite straight off, quite dry and in your face. And this one has a little bit more of a rounded cut note with a light vinous character as well.
Oh yeah, absolutely, yeah. The more and more I smell of it, I get that Jacob's cream cracker and sort of smooth white bread, eh? I mean, it's interesting, this for sure. It's one of the lighter Saisons I've come across in recent times. So when we were in here, they've got the Brett Pils, the Brett Pale and the Brett Saison, and yeah, basically these are beers that they've produced before and they've just re-fermented them in the barrel. The Brett Pils is Tappy Pils with it's been re-fermented.
I'm fairly sure the Brett Pale is, well, Brett Pils has been released before, but Brett Pale and Brett Saison are both brand new beers, as far as I'm aware.
Yeah, I mean, we picked this one, we decided on this one, we confirmed with the girl behind the bar, just, we wanted something a wee bit more traditional sour, if that makes sense, because, trying these more raw beers is always a good measure of how good a brewery is at sour beers. And yeah, a nice sour Saison can go down quite well, I would say. But yeah, I think we've covered the malty and barrel side of things. What do you think about the green and fruity side of this beer?
Light, very, very light, kind of like, I would say lemongrass, but it's...
Yes, I do get a bit of lemongrass. There's a teeny wee bit of floral note to it, but it's very smooth on its green component. There's not a lot of hop in this for sure. Either that or it's all dropped out during the barrel fermentation.
Natalie?
Yeah, I think. Yeah, as you say, as you were saying, lemongrass, a bit of straight up grass, maybe a wee bit of floral note. I don't think there's anything else we need to say about the hoppy side of things. What do you reckon about the fruit and the sour side then?
Which is fun. Again, lemony.
Definitely lemon leaning though. There is a bit of the oily lime, but
Yeah.
it really is very, very lemony leaning this one for sure. You know, teeny wee bit of like apricot or something in there, a bit of sultana, a bit of pear maybe.
Yeah.
But those are very minimal compared to the lemon side of this beer. You get more and more of this slightly peppery, spicy thing out of it the more that you smell of it. Is there anything else?
I'm happy to dive in.
I'm happy with that as well, to be honest. Yeah, so our final beer here at Deya, the second one in the mixed fermentation tap room. Slange. It's one of the lightest saisons I've had.
It's not anywhere near as peppery and estery as other saisons can be. It is just, it's almost like a saison apple in the fact it's kind of going so lemony.
I could see that, yeah. I mean, this just on first impression, if you think, when you think about a saison, you think about a big, bready, sometimes a little bit more hoppy.
Yeah. Wheaty and peppery and everything.
Yeah, this one is just, it's very light, very wet. It's actually very easy drinking.
Yeah, it's a session saison.
It's a session saison.
But it's not. It's like most saisons can be quite challenging and in your face compared to normal beers because they've got that kind of added factor of something that you wouldn't normally get in other beers. Whereas this is just lots of kind of fruitiness.
Yeah, I mean that was the thing. I used to be able to drink Hefeweizen and wit beer quite easily, and then saison, I guess you could put in this kind of similar category, being a bit heavy. But this one really is just very, very easy to drink. It's more funky, but it's definitely more funky than being a sour beer. This, and again, it really reminds me of a Poco. It really reminds me of those beers from the Poco that I've had, but a bit cleaner. This one's, I find this one a bit more clean than the plum sour that we had before. For sure. So yeah, this is quite this is interesting. It's not exactly what I expect from Deya. Their sours seem to be quite smooth and clean in a lot of ways, so it's worth trying for sure. If you take a big gulp of this though, you do get a bit more of the sour and the acidity out of it, yeah. This is interesting. I like this when you do reviews where it makes you think, because obviously we've got a preconception of Deya as an IPA brewery, and trying some of the sour stuff for the first time for me is quite interesting. You've had a couple of the sour beers,
I've had quite a few on that board before. I've had Untappd Hill before, and blend. They do a blend series, which they release each year. And I've had a couple of different blends, blend 2, blend 3. I think they're on blend must be 6 or 7 at the moment. And I've got blend 5 bottles at home, which I've just yet to actually have. They were saved for the last piss up, but I never had them. So I'm still there. We could have had them last night. But we didn't.
Yeah, we're just too tired.
Yeah.
But I mean, this is. I do like this beer. I do like it. It's definitely one of the lightest saisons I've had though, for sure. Yeah. Let's break it down though and describe it. So, middle of the palate for sure. You get some of that American oak. It's got a bit of the smoothness there. It's a little bit drier toward the back of the palate.
Light fineness kind of starts to creep in midway through and then really affects them back.
Yeah, no, I get this toward the front of that middle kind of third of the palate. You start to get a wee bit of you get a little bit of the kind of, the vinous character, that sort of white wine grape. In the middle of the palate though, you start to get a wee touch of the vanilla. It's got a wee bit of vanilla to it, this one, and a wee bit of Werther's Original butter candy. Which is interesting. I actually think if I tasted this blind, I don't think I'd guess it was a saison.
No,
I really don't think
I would. I'd lemon pale ale or something like that.
Yeah, I think I would realise. I don't know if I'd even recognise that, to be honest with you. I would think this was just some sort of
wine barrel aged sour. I'd probably go for that. I'd say it's a white wine barrel aged sour of some description, like a white wine barrel aged pale or something like that.
I know what barrel it was in. That's the thing.
Yeah. Yeah, but yes, say bread. Yeah, a wee bit the American oak. A bit of bread crust for sure. There's a wee bit of breadiness to it. You know, a little bit of vanilla, then the Werther's Original, and it gets a bit drier the further you go into the aftertaste. A wee bit of the spicy character coming out as well. Yeah, I don't think there's anything. Is there anything else we need to say about the malty side of things? Maybe it gets a wee bit drier at the back and a wee bit more peppery in the palate. But yeah,
Just sort of think malt-wise, I think there's just pale malt. There's a bit of a wheatiness inside of it, but I don't think there's all that much. Weirdly enough, and when you're doing a saison, if you put a little bit more wheat in it, it kind of accentuates the wheat a little bit further and gives you that more kind of white pepper note. And I'm not really getting too much out of this.
it is a wee bit spicy at the back of the palate, but yeah, not overly much.
I wouldn't say that's necessarily from the malt or anything, but
Yeah. Green component, I don't think there's too much to report. Maybe a teeny bit of earthiness. It's very smooth as you come further forward. There's a tiny bit of floral note on the front corners of your palate, round the front curve of the tongue, a bit wetter and more grassy. And it is quite a wet grassiness that you get there. The front third of the palate, so the sourness and the fruity side of things, what do you reckon?
it's a mild acidity. So it's there, and you know it's there, but it's still quite mild. I'd say some of the drinks, some earth-shatteringly sour kind of lambics or things in the past, but this is quite light in terms of sourness. Light to mid.
It's got a wee bit of acidity to it in the beginning,
And then there's almost like a biscuity kind of breadiness that kind of takes over for a little bit. It doesn't go too chewy like some bready saisons it can do, or breaded beers it can do. And then there's the acidity just kind of cuts through it and just goes up right at the end of it.
Yeah, I mean, fruity wise, yeah, I would agree with that. It has a little bit of a sour impact. It's got a wee bit of a it does have a wee bit of I get a bit of sultana, pear, maybe a teeny bit of apricot or something like that. It's towards the back of that, but as you come further forward, it's more like a kind of oily pear or something. And then you do get a wee bit of that lemony tart citrusy note out of this one. As I say, if I was tasting this blind, I wouldn't guess saison. I really wouldn't guess saison with this. But it is quite a funky. It's a funky beer, this one for sure. Funky, woody type sour beer, this one. Is there anything else to say on the flavour profile? I think so. Mouthfeel then. Yeah.
Yeah. I think there's free food and drinks, so I'm not very complaining.
I'd say mid-bodied, bottom end of mid-bodied, smooth carbonation, oily, definitely oily. IBUs, I think there's maybe 5 to 10, very low in its IBU. Malty and woody base, bit dryness. Smoothness in there from bread, but a wee tiny touch of sweetness, but not a lot.
I think the local water profile as well kind of lends itself to being a little bit drier because it's quite hard here, same as where I am.
Because I find it quite oily. I would have thought it was more oily. But yeah, low IBUs, as we said, low IBUs, a little bit of an oily, fruity kind of thing. And just a nice sour beer, this one for sure. I think this is it's a nice beer, this one. I wouldn't hesitate to drink it again, but I would be more curious to try the pills. Actually, I think the Brett, based on how this one's turned out, I think trying the Brett pills would be the one that strikes my fancy. But we don't have time for that, unfortunately. But yeah, I think that rounds off our 6th and final tasting here at Deya Mixed Fermentation Tap Room, or just Deya in general. This is the second one in the mixed fermentation tap room. So yeah, guys, in a second I'll go outside and give you my final thoughts. There's some bottles over there that I'll show you quickly. But hope you've enjoyed this one. Catch you in just a second. But this was the Brett Saison, 5.1% ABV. We both enjoyed it. So yeah, cool. Catch you guys in a second. So yeah, guys, they have a few different bottles here in the mixed fermentation tap room as well. So they have Hear No Evil, Speak No Evil, See No Evil, a few other ones as well. So these ones are on tap actually. So the Lockhampton Hill,
Mayhill, Crickley Hill, Cooper Hill, Birdlip Hill, obviously things from here in the Cotswolds. But yeah, Hoppy Oaty thing, 2021, the Simple Wheat thing, version 4 of one of their sour beers as well, Simple Wheat thing, Pool the Night. They've got a nice barley wine that they did with Boxcar as well, Around Your Shoulders. Then there's a few sort of sparkling wines and things like that here as well. But then, yeah, Hoppy Oaty thing, 2021, and the Heritage Saison in cans, and then a few other things. So yeah, these are some of the bottles that you can get at the Mixed Fermentation Tap Room. Alright guys, well that is our time up here at Deya. So we had 4 beers in the normal tap room, 2 in the Mixed Fermentation Tap Room, or the original tap room as it was, and we figured out that each, it would have been what, about £32?
Yeah.
So that is going to work out maybe like, yeah, $38, €38, something like that. And what, I can't even think what that's going to be in Swedish krona, like 320, 350 Swedish krona, something like that. But yeah, we had a really good time. We got to try quite a few different beers. Obviously Deya is better known for their beers on the lighter end of the spectrum. We never got to try any imperial stouts or porters or anything like this. They did have one porter on tap, but yeah, we were just kind of like, we'd rather try the sour beers. This was the sour side of the brewery was the more kind of interesting and unusual thing. But yeah, if you find yourself in Cheltenham, then Deya is absolutely worth looking at, and we had some good fun. So yeah, nice to film once again with Harry and check out one of England's most highly regarded breweries. So yeah, I hope that you guys have enjoyed another little out and about video. Of course, check out my Instagram and all this kind of jazz, and do make sure you check out Harry over at Blue Nose Beer Reviews on Instagram, YouTube. Are you on anything else?
That's it.
That's it. Yeah, so go and check out Harry, and of course try some of Harry's beers from Ramsbury Brewery. Catch you guys in the next out and about video very, very soon. Cheers.